Good evening, class. Tonight you will learn about the harrowing tale of how 100+ teenage girls were killed in a massive factory fire in 1911. I hope you find this presentation educational and also entertaining, even though it is about something absolutely horrible. The year is 1911. America is in the midst of an industrial revolution. The rich are ludicrously rich, and the poor are not as fortunate. Most workers end up working long hours in dangerous factories for criminally low wages. One of these such factories is the Triangle Shirtwaist Company factory in New York City. The factory, owned by Max Blank and Isaac Harris, is situated in the top 3 floors of the APUSH building in Manhattan. Just look at Blank and Harris. They're simply the picture of entrepreneurism. March 25th, a Saturday afternoon. The 600-strong workforce, consisting of nearly all non-English-speaking teenage girls, is working diligently. When a fire began in a rag bin, there was nothing the girls could do. The hose was rotted. They had to escape. They go to the elevator, but no luck. Out of the 4 elevators, only 1 is operational, and the girls must file through a long corridor to reach it. It could hold 12 girls at a time and broke down after only 4 trips. Many girls leapt to their deaths down the elevator shaft. The fire escapes were far too narrow to make an effective escape, and the stairwells were locked. In the end, 145 workers died in the flames, being sent to a fiery grave in the name of reckless, unhinged capitalism.
Nowadays, we see worker safety as a priority, but back in the day, it was not guaranteed. And most big, rich bosses cared very little about the people under their heel. It was all about that sweet, sweet bottom line. Max Planck and Isaac Harris were tried for their lack of safety precautions and were, of course, found not guilty. Justice is blind.
And now a video further detailing the tragedy.
The Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire was a man-made disaster, a tragedy of the industrial age, made all the worse because it could have been prevented. Let me set the scene. New York City, early 20th century. The Triangle Shirtwaist factory occupied several floors of a Manhattan business building called the APUSH building. It was located just off Washington Square Park, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the city. The Triangle Shirtwaist factory was, by almost any definition, a sweatshop. It was a densely packed place. Some 500 people worked there, and the work schedule was punishing. 11 to 12 hours a day, every day. Most of the people employed at the factory were young immigrant women, teenagers even, who didn't speak English. These women sat at long tables, day in, day out, sewing shirtwaists. Shirtwaists were mass-produced blouses. They resembled men's shirts and were very popular with working women. So here's what happened. March 25th, 1911, Saturday evening, the end of the workday, the work week. A fire started in a bin of cotton scraps, perhaps from a cigarette butt. A manager tried to use a hose to put it out, but the hose valve was rusted shut, and the hose itself was rotted away. The factory floor didn't have a sprinkler system, so the fire spread quickly. People panicked. The building had only one flimsy fire escape, and it wasn't nearly big enough. It collapsed. The building had 4 elevators, but only 1 was working, and it only held 12 people at a time. It managed to make 4 rescue trips before it broke down. Some desperate workers jumped to their deaths down the elevator shaft. Workers tried to take the stairs, but the exit doors only opened inward, and they were kept locked by factory management. Many people were crushed to death trying to get out. Firefighting technology hadn't caught up to the new tall buildings of a city like New York. The fire hoses and ladders could only reach the 7th floor, 1 floor short of the fire. Dozens of desperate workers jumped out of the windows. They chose to die from the fall instead of the flames. Other workers burned to death or died from smoke inhalation. The whole episode lasted just 18 minutes.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.